David stared at the stack of overdue bills on his kitchen table and let out a long sigh. The rent was due in 5 days, and he was still $200 short. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago, but he took a sip anyway. It tasted bitter, just like everything else in his life lately. From the small bedroom down the hall, he could hear his 7-year-old son Ben playing with his toy cars, making engine noises and creating elaborate crashes. At least one of them was happy. David smiled despite himself. Ben was the only reason he kept pushing forward every single day. It had been 3 years since the accident. 3 years since his wife Julie died in that rainy night collision on the highway. 3 years of figuring out how to be both mom and dad to a little boy who still sometimes called out for his mother in his sleep. David had gone from being a promising session musician in recording studios to teaching basic piano lessons in their cramped 2-bedroom apartment. The walls were thin, the neighbors complained about the noise. Most months he worried about keeping the lights on. His phone buzzed on the table, interrupting his thoughts. Unknown number. David almost didn't answer. These days, unknown numbers usually meant debt collectors or robocalls. But something made him pick up. Hello, is this David Torres, the piano instructor? The voice on the other end was crisp, professional, and clearly used to being in charge. Yes, that's me. How can I help you? My name is Christine Hartwell. I need a piano teacher for my daughter. I got your number from the music academy downtown. They said you were affordable and available on short notice. Affordable. That was a polite way of saying cheap. David swallowed his pride. I'd be happy to discuss lessons with you. How old is your daughter? She's 9. And before we go any further, you should know that she's blind. She's been blind since birth. We've tried 5 different teachers already, and none of them have worked out. Frankly, I'm running out of options. David's mind raced. A blind student. He'd never taught anyone with visual impairment before. But the way this woman said it, like it was a warning, like her daughter was some kind of problem to be solved, bothered him. Every kid deserved a chance, didn't they? I'm willing to try, David said. Every student learns differently. I'd need to meet her first, see what approach might work best. There was a pause on the other end. Fine. Can you come Thursday afternoon? 3 o'clock. I'll text you the address. This is a trial arrangement, Mr. Torres. 1 month. If I don't see real progress, I'll need to look elsewhere. I don't have time to waste. Understand. I'll be there Thursday. The call ended abruptly. A moment later, his phone buzzed with an address. David typed it into his map app, and his eyebrows shot up. Riverside Heights. That was the wealthiest neighborhood in the entire city. Houses there didn't just have price tags. They had security gates and names. He looked down at his faded jeans and worn-out sneakers. This was going to be interesting. Thursday came faster than David expected. He dropped Ben off at his mother-in-law's house, promising to pick him up before dinner. Then he drove his 15-year-old Honda across town. Watching as the neighborhoods gradually transformed from working-class apartments to manicured lawns and luxury cars. When he pulled up to the address, David thought he'd made a mistake. The gate alone probably cost more than his entire year's salary. He pressed the intercom button nervously. David Torres for the piano lesson, he said to the small camera above the button. The gate swung open silently. David drove up a winding driveway lined with perfectly trimmed hedges and flowering trees. The house at the end wasn't just big, it was massive. 3 stories of stone and glass that looked like it belonged in a magazine, not real life. He parked his beat-up Honda next to a sleek black Mercedes and felt immediately out of place. The front door opened before he could knock. A woman in a sharp gray suit stood there, phone pressed to her ear. She held up one finger at David, gesturing for him to wait while she finished her conversation. No, tell them we're not settling. If they want to go to trial, we'll destroy them in court. I don't care what it takes. She ended the call and finally looked at David. You're late? It's 3:04. I'm sorry I had trouble finding the follow me. Christine Hartwell turned and walked into the house without waiting for him to finish. David hurried after her, his worn sneakers squeaking on the polished marble floors. The inside of the house was even more intimidating than the outside. Everything was white, cream, or glass. It looked like a museum, not a home. There were no family photos on the walls, no toys scattered around, no signs that a child even lived here. David thought about his own cluttered apartment, with Ben's drawings taped to the refrigerator and toys in every corner. At least their place felt lived in. Christine led him through a hallway and stopped at a door. "This is the music room. Everything you need should be in there. I had a piano brought in specifically for Lily's lessons. None of the other teachers managed to get her to actually play it." "Where's Lily?" David asked. "Inside. Waiting." Christine checked her phone again, already distracted. "I need you to understand something, Mr. Torres. My daughter is not like other children. She's difficult. She doesn't respond well to traditional teaching methods. She barely speaks to anyone. I've invested considerable time and money trying to help her, and nothing has worked. I'm told music is the only thing she shows any interest in. So here we are." The way she talked about her own daughter, like Lily was a business problem instead of a little girl, made David's chest tighten. But he just nodded. "I'll do my best. Your best better be exceptional. You have 1 month to show me real results. If Lily isn't playing actual pieces by then, we're done. I don't have patience for more failed experiments." Her phone rang again. "I have a conference call. I'll check on you in an hour." She walked away, already talking to whoever was on the other end. David stood alone in the hallway for a moment, gathering himself. Then he opened the door to the music room. The room was beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows let in natural light. In the center sat a gorgeous grand piano, its black surface gleaming. But David's attention immediately went to the small figure sitting rigidly on the piano bench. Lily was tiny for 9 years old, dark brown hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. She wore a pink dress that looked expensive and uncomfortable. Her eyes were hidden behind dark tinted glasses, and she sat perfectly still, hands folded in her lap. She didn't turn when David entered, didn't acknowledge his presence at all. "Hi, Lily," David said gently, approaching slowly. "My name is David. I'm going to be your piano teacher." Nothing. The girl didn't move, didn't respond. She could have been a statue. David pulled up a chair beside the piano bench, careful not to sit too close. "Your mom tells me you're interested in music. Is that true?" Still nothing. Lily's face remained expressionless, tilted slightly downward. "I've been playing piano since I was about your age," David continued, keeping his voice soft and friendly. "My mom used to say I drove her crazy practicing the same songs over and over, but I loved it. There's something magical about piano, don't you think? How you can press these keys and create something beautiful out of nothing." Slight tilt of Lily's head. Not much, but something. David felt a small spark of hope. He asked this time. Lily gave a tiny nod, so small that David almost missed it. He moved to the piano and sat down. The bench was adjusted for someone smaller, so he had to readjust it slightly. Then he placed his hands on the keys. What should he play? Something simple? Something impressive? No, something real. David closed his eyes and let his fingers find the melody of a song Julie used to love. It was a simple piece, nothing fancy, but it was full of emotion. He played it the way he felt it, letting his grief and hope and love flow through his fingertips. When he finished, the room was silent. Then Lily spoke for the first time, her voice barely above a whisper. That was sad. David looked at her in surprise. Yeah, it was kind of sad. How could you tell? I can hear feelings in music. That song was missing someone. Something caught in David's throat. This little girl who supposedly didn't respond to anyone had heard what he'd been feeling. She'd understood. You're right, he said quietly. I was thinking about someone I miss very much. My wife. She loved this song. Lily turned her head slightly in his direction. Is she gone? Yes, she died a few years ago. I'm sorry. Lily's voice was still soft, but there was genuine feeling in it. That must make you very sad sometimes. It does, David admitted. But playing music helps. It's like I can still talk to her in a way. For the first time, a small smile appeared on Lily's face. I think I understand that. David smiled back, even though he knew she couldn't see it. Maybe she could sense it somehow. Would you like to try playing something with me? The smile disappeared. Lily's shoulders tensed. I can't. I tried before. I'm not good at it. Who told you that? The other teachers? They said I wasn't following instructions properly, that I wasn't trying hard enough. David felt a flash of anger at whoever had said that to this child. Well, I'm not like the other teachers. And we're going to figure this out together, okay? No pressure. No judgment. Just you, me, and the piano. Deal. Lily hesitated, then gave another tiny nod. Good, David said. That's a good start. For today, why don't you just tuck? The second lesson wasn't any easier than the first. David arrived at the mansion right on time, determined to make progress. He'd spent the entire week thinking about Lily, researching teaching methods for visually impaired students, watching videos, reading articles late into the night after Ben had gone to sleep. He felt prepared. He felt confident. That confidence lasted about 5 minutes. Lily sat at the piano in the exact same position as before. Same rigid posture, same folded hands, same silence. When David greeted her cheerfully and asked how her week had been, she didn't respond. When he suggested they try some simple scales together, she didn't move. It was like the small breakthrough from their first lesson had never happened. Lily, I know you can hear me, David said gently. You don't have to play if you don't want to. But I'd really like to understand what you're feeling right now. Can you tell me that? Nothing. David tried everything he could think of. He played simple melodies and asked her to copy them. He described the piano keys in detail, trying to make them less intimidating. He even tried making jokes, hoping to get at least a smile. But Lily remained a statue, unreachable and alone in whatever world she'd retreated into. 45 minutes into the lesson, Christine appeared at the doorway. She didn't say anything, just stood there with her arms crossed, watching. The pressure in the room immediately multiplied. David could feel sweat forming on his forehead. Well, Christine finally said. Is she playing yet? We're working on building trust, David explained, trying to sound professional. It takes time to... Time is money, Mr. Torres. And right now, I'm not seeing any return on my investment. Christine walked further into the room, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. Lily, play something for Mr. Torres. Right now. Lily's shoulders hunched slightly. But she didn't move toward the keys. I said play something. Christine's voice got harder. Mrs. Hartwell. Maybe we shouldn't, David started. This is exactly the problem, Christine interrupted. Everyone treats her like she's made of glass. Like being blind means she can't do anything. Well, I won't accept that. Lily, you have 10 seconds to put your hands on that piano, or we're done with these lessons. David watched Lily's hands start to shake slightly. The little girl's breath became faster, more shallow. She was panicking, he realized. And instead of helping, her own mother was making it worse. Mrs. Hartwell, David said firmly, standing up. I need you to leave the room, please. Christine's eyes went wide with shock. Excuse me? I can't teach her like this. Not with this kind of pressure. If you want me to help Lily, you need to trust my process and let me work. David's heart was pounding. He needed this job desperately. But he needed to protect this kid more. For a long moment, Christine just stared at him. David thought for sure he was about to be fired. Then Christine's phone rang, breaking the tension. She answered it immediately. Hartwell speaking. She listened for a moment, then turned and walked out, already deep in conversation about some case or another. The door closed behind her. David let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. He sat back down next to Lily, whose hands were still shaking. I'm sorry that happened, he said softly. You don't have to play anything you don't want to. Not for me, not for anyone, okay? Lily's voice came out as barely a whisper. She thinks I'm broken. My mom. She thinks there's something wrong with me. That's why she keeps hiring teachers and therapists and specialists. She wants to fix me. David felt his heart crack a little. Lily, there's nothing to fix. You're not broken. Then why can't I do anything right? The little girl's voice was thick with emotion. Why does everyone give up on me? Hey, look at me. David paused, then corrected himself. Sorry, I'm not giving up on you. I promise. And you can do things right. You heard the sadness in my playing last week, remember? That's a gift not everyone has. Lily turned her head slightly toward him. Really? Most people hear music as just notes, but you hear the feelings behind it. That's special, Lily. That's really special. They sat in silence for a while. Then David had an idea. Can I tell you a secret? Okay, I'm kind of scared too. I haven't taught someone like you before. I'm worried I'm going to mess this up and let you down. So we're both a little scared. But maybe we can figure this out together. No pressure. No deadlines. Just two people trying to understand music. What do you say? For the first time that day, a tiny smile appeared on Lily's face. Okay. The third lesson was on a rainy Tuesday. David brought his umbrella, but by the time he got from his car to the front door, he was still pretty wet. A woman he hadn't met before answered the door. She looked tired, wearing simple clothes and an apron. You must be the piano teacher, she said with a slight accent. I'm Maria, the housekeeper. Come in, come in. You're dripping everywhere. Sorry, David said, shaking off his umbrella.
Don't worry about it.
This house could use a little mess anyway. Too clean, too quiet. Not good for a child. Maria led him toward the music room, then paused. You're different from the other teachers. How so? You see her? Not just the blindness. You see, Lily? Maria's eyes were kind, but sad. That poor girl spends so much time alone in this big house. Her mother works all the time. I do my best, but I have a lot to manage here. It's good that you're patient with her. Maria left him at the door. When David entered, Lily was already at the piano. But today, something was different. She was actually touching the keys, pressing them gently, one at a time. Not making music exactly, but exploring. That sounds nice, David said, sitting down beside her. I've been practicing, Lily said quietly. Just touching them, like you said. Learning where each one is. Pride swelled in David's chest. That's great, Lily. That's really great. Can I show you something cool about the piano? Okay. David took her hand gently and guided it to a key. This is middle C. It's like the home base of the piano. Everything else relates to this note. Feel it. Lily pressed it, then pressed it again. Yes. Now I'm going to play a pattern starting from this note. Just listen. Don't try to copy it. Just listen and tell me what you hear. Played a simple ascending scale. C, D, E, F, G. It's going up, Lily said immediately. Like climbing stairs. Exactly. That's exactly right. Now listen to this. He played a descending scale. Going down. Like sliding. David grinned. You're a natural at this, Lily. You really are. I spent the rest of the hour just exploring sounds. David would play patterns, and Lily would describe what she heard. Sometimes she said they sounded happy. Sometimes sad. Sometimes like rain or wind or birds. Her descriptions were beautiful, creative, full of imagination. When Christine briefly appeared to check on them, David was able to honestly say they'd made progress. Christine looked skeptical but didn't interfere this time. By the fourth lesson, David decided to take a risk. He brought Ben with him. I hope this is okay, David said when Maria answered the door. My mother-in-law is sick today and I couldn't find anyone to watch him. Maria looked at Ben, who stood there holding his dad's hand, looking nervous and small. Of course it's okay. What's your name, sweetie? Ben. I'm 7. Well, Ben, there's fresh cookies in the kitchen, if you get hungry. Come on, David had explained everything to Ben on the drive over. About Lily being blind, about her being shy, about needing to be extra kind. Ben had nodded seriously. Like his dad had given him an important mission. When they entered the music room, Lily was already at the piano. She turned her head at the sound of footsteps. Who's that? She asked. There's someone else here. This is my son Ben, David explained. He's 7. I hope it's okay that he's here today. Lily didn't respond for a moment. Then, does he think I'm weird? Ben, bless his heart, answered before David could. No way. My dad says you're really good at hearing feelings in music. That's super cool. I can't do that at all. I can barely play chopsticks. A small laugh escaped from Lily. An actual laugh. David wanted to hug his son right there. Can I sit and listen? Ben asked. I'll be super quiet. I promise. Okay, Lily said, and she actually sounded less nervous than usual. Ben plopped down on the floor near the piano, cross-legged and eager. David sat at the bench and started the lesson. Something magical happened that day. With Ben there, a kid her own age who wasn't trying to teach her anything or fix her, Lily relaxed. When David played a melody and asked what she heard, she didn't hesitate before answering. When Ben clapped excitedly at her descriptions, she smiled wider. Do you want to try playing something? David asked carefully, not wanting to push too hard. Lily bit her lip. What if I mess up? Then you mess up, Ben said simply. I mess up all the time. That's how you learn stuff, Lily laughed again. Then, slowly, she put her hands on the keys. David had shown her where middle C was, and she found it now from memory. She pressed it. Then the next key. Then the next she was playing a scale. It wasn't perfect, and she hesitated between some notes, but she was doing it. Actually doing it. It's awesome. Ben exclaimed, and it was awesome. It was more than awesome. It was a breakthrough. By the end of the lesson, Lily had played several simple patterns. She'd made mistakes, of course, but instead of shutting down, she'd laughed them off and tried again. David could barely contain his excitement. As they were leaving, Lily called out, Ben. Yeah. Can you come again next time? Ben looked up at his. Over the next 2 weeks, something remarkable happened. Lily transformed from a silent, withdrawn child into someone David barely recognized. She started talking during lessons, asking questions, even making jokes. And most importantly, she was playing piano. Not just playing, thriving. Ben came to every lesson now, and the two kids had formed an unlikely friendship. During breaks, they'd sit on the floor of the music room while Ben told Lily about his school, his friends, the funny things that happened during recess. Lily would listen intently, laughing at his stories, asking questions about what things looked like. What color is the sky? She asked one day. Ben thought about it seriously. It's blue, like if you could hear a calm feeling. That's what blue looks like. Does that make sense? Lily nodded enthusiastically. I think so. So when I play soft notes, that's blue? Yeah, exactly. David watched these exchanges with a full heart. Ben was giving Lily something no teacher ever could. A window into the world of a regular kid. Someone who didn't treat her differently or walk on eggshells around her. The piano lessons themselves had evolved into something special. David had figured out that Lily didn't learn like other students. She couldn't read sheet music, even in Braille. She'd tried with previous teachers, but it frustrated her. The technical approach didn't work, so David taught her through feelings and stories instead. This piece is called Morning Song, he'd say, playing a bright, cheerful melody. Imagine waking up and the sun is coming through your window. You can hear birds outside. Everything feels fresh and new. That's what this sounds like. Now you try. And Lily would try. She'd listen to him play something once, maybe twice, and then her small fingers would find the keys and recreate what she'd heard. Not exactly the same, but close, and sometimes even better. She'd add her own touches, her own interpretation. It was like she absorbed music through her skin, through her bones. Like it bypassed her brain entirely and went straight to her soul. She's got perfect pitch, David told Christine, after one particularly amazing lesson. Do you know how rare that is? She can hear a note and identify it instantly. Most professional musicians don't have that ability. Christine had looked at her daughter with something David couldn't quite read. Pride? Confusion? She's only been playing for a few weeks? Some people are just born with it, David explained. And Lily has something even more special. She understands emotion in music on a level I've never seen. She's not just playing notes. She's telling stories. Christine had just nodded and gone back to her phone. David wondered if she ever really listened to her own daughter play. Really listened. Not just checked boxes on her mental list of parenting duties completed. One Thursday, Afternoon, David brought something different to the lesson. A small recording device. "What's that?" Lily asked, tilting her head toward the sound of him setting it up. "I want to record you playing today. Is that okay?" "Why?" Lily sounded nervous. "'Cause you're really good, and I think you should be able to hear yourself. Sometimes we don't realize how much we've improved until we hear it played back." Ben chimed in from his spot on the floor where he was coloring. "Dad's right. You're amazing, Lily. Like really amazing." "What if I mess up?" "Then you mess up," David said gently. "But I don't think you will. Come on, play that piece we worked on last time, the one you said reminded you of rain." Lily hesitated, then placed her hands on the keys. She took a deep breath, and then she began to play. The melody flowed from her fingers like water. It started soft and gentle, like the first drops of rain on a window. Then it built, becoming stronger, more insistent, like a thunderstorm. And then it softened again, fading to a gentle patter, before ending on a single, quiet note. When she finished, the room was silent, except for Ben's quiet wow. David stopped the recording. "Lily, that was incredible. You didn't miss a single note." "Really? Really? Want to hear it?" He played back the recording. Lily sat perfectly still, listening to herself play. When it ended, there were tears running down her cheeks from beneath her dark glasses. "That's me," she whispered. "That's you. I sound like a real piano player." David's voice was thick with emotion. "That's because you are a real piano player, Lily. You're not just good. You're gifted." Hush. Lily wiped at her tears with the back of her hand. "Nobody's ever said I was good at anything before." That statement hit David like a punch to the gut. This incredibly talented child had never been told she was good at something. "How is that possible?" "Well, you're hearing it now," he said firmly. "And you're going to keep hearing it because it's true. You have a gift, Lily. A real gift." From that day forward, Lily's confidence grew. She started requesting certain pieces, asking David to play things so she could learn them. She practiced between lessons, Maria told him. Sometimes for hours, alone in that big music room, finding joy in the one thing she could do that made her feel special. Ben and Lily's friendship deepened too. One day, David found them sitting together at the piano, with Ben trying to teach Lily how to play a simple video game theme song he liked. "Okay, so it goes like this," Ben said, playing it badly on the keys. "Wait, no, that's not right." Lily laughed. "Let me try." She listened to him hum it, then played it perfectly on her first attempt. "How did you do that?" Ben asked, amazed. "I don't know. I just hear it in my head and my fingers know where to go. That's so cool. I wish I could do that." "I wish I could see colors like you described them," Lily said softly. "Or run around outside without being scared I'll bump into something." Ben was quiet for a moment, and he said, "Want to hear about the park near my house? I can tell you all about it. There's this really cool slide that's super twisty." And just like that, Ben painted the world with words for his new friend. And Lily listened like he was telling her the most fascinating story ever written. David watched them and thought about how much his life had changed in just a few weeks. He'd come to this mansion desperately needing money, feeling like a failure. But somewhere along the way, this had stopped being just a job. These Tuesday and Thursday afternoons had become the highlight of his week. Helping Lily discover her talent was healing something in David too. It reminded him why he'd fallen in love with music in the first place. It's not for fame or recognition, but for moments like these. For the pure joy of watching someone connect with something beautiful. Christine remained mostly absent from the lessons, always busy with work. But David noticed small changes. Sometimes she'd pause in the hallway outside the music room, listening for a moment before her phone would ring and pull her away. Once, he caught her watching from the doorway, and there was something soft in her expression he hadn't seen before. Maria noticed the changes too. "Mrs. Hartwell asked me to set up a piano in Lily's bedroom," she told David one day. She'd never done that before, never encouraged the music, always thought it was a waste of time. "What changed?" David asked. Maria smiled. "You changed things, you and your sweet boy. You gave that little girl something to be proud of, something that's hers." One afternoon, about 6 weeks into the lessons, something happened that nobody expected. Christine actually sat down and watched an entire lesson. She came in, sat in a chair near the window, and didn't touch her phone once. Just watched her daughter play. Really watched her. Lily seemed nervous at first, knowing her mother was there. Her playing was more hesitant than usual, but David encouraged her gently, and Ben gave her a thumbs up, and gradually she relaxed into it. She played 3 pieces that day, all from memory, all with feeling and skill that seemed impossible for someone who'd only been seriously playing for a few weeks. When the lesson ended, Lily stood up. Lily, that was really good. Lily turned toward her mother's voice, surprised. Really? Yes. Really? Christine's voice cracked slightly. I had no idea you could play like that. Mr. David is a really good teacher. And Ben helps too. Christine looked at David, and for the first time, there was something other than cool professionalism in her eyes. Mr. Torres, I owe you an apology. When I hired you, I thought you'd be like all the others, another person taking my money and giving up when things got difficult. But you didn't give up. Lily made it easy, David said honestly. She's incredibly talented. You should be very proud of her. I am. Christine's voice was barely above a whisper. She looked at her daughter, and something shifted in her expression, like she was seeing Lily for the first time, not as a problem to fix or a disappointment, but as a person, as her daughter. Later, as David and Ben were leaving, Maria caught them at the door. She pressed something into David's hand, an envelope from Mrs. Hartwell. She wanted me to give you this. David opened it in the car. Inside was a check for double his usual fee and a note in neat handwriting. Thank you for giving my daughter back to me. Thank you for helping me see her. Please continue the lessons for as long as you're willing. Money is no longer a concern. David stared at the note for a long time.
Oh.
Ben, looking over from his car seat, asked, What's it say, Dad? It says we're doing a good job, buddy. Good, because Lily's my friend now, and I don't want to stop seeing her. Me neither, Ben. Me neither. That night, after Ben was asleep, David sat at their old keyboard and played the piece Lily had performed that day. He thought about how far she'd come. From a mess. The phone call came on a Wednesday afternoon while David was helping Ben with his homework. The number on the screen showed the city area code, but David didn't recognize it. He almost let it go to voicemail, but something made him answer. Hello? Hi. Is this David Torres? The voice was warm and professional. My name is Patricia Chen. I'm the director of the City Arts Center downtown. David's heart skipped a beat. The City Arts Center was a big deal. They hosted concerts, exhibitions, and community events. He'd performed there once, years ago back. When he thought he'd make it as a professional musician, Yes, this is David. How can I help you? I'll get straight to the point. We're organizing a charity recital next month to raise funds for the Children's Hospital. It's going to be a wonderful event with young performers from across the city. I heard through a colleague about a student of yours. A blind girl who's apparently quite talented? David's mind raced. Lily? Yes. She's incredibly gifted. That's what I've been told. We'd love to have her perform at the recital if she's interested. It would only be 1 piece, maybe 4 or 5 minutes. The event is going to have a lot of visibility. Local news coverage, community leaders, potential donors. It could be a wonderful opportunity for her. David felt excitement and terror mixing in his stomach. Can I think about it and get back to you? I'd need to talk to Lily and her mother first, of course. But I'll need an answer by Friday. We're finalizing the program. Here's my number. Really hope she'll consider it. From what I've heard, she could be the star of the show. After hanging up, David sat staring at his phone for a long time. Ben looked up from his math worksheet. Who was that, Dad? Someone who wants Lily to play piano in front of a lot of people. It's awesome. Lily's so good. Everyone should hear her play. David wished he felt as confident as his 7-year-old son. This could be amazing for Lily. A chance to share her gift with the world, to feel proud of herself in front of hundreds of people. But it could also be terrifying for a shy 9-year-old. Girl who'd spent most of her life being told she couldn't do things. That night, David barely slept. Kept thinking about the recital, playing out every possible scenario in his mind. By morning, he'd made a decision. He'd talk to Lily first. before mentioning anything to Christine. This had to be Lily's choice. At their next lesson, David waited until they'd warmed up with some scales and simple pieces. Then he said, as casually as he could, "Hey Lily, I got an interesting phone call this week." "About what?" Lily was focused on finding the right keys for a new song they'd been working on. "About you, actually. The City Arts Center wants to know if you'd like to perform in a charity recital next month." Lily's hands froze on the keys. "Perform? Like, in front of people?" "Yeah, it would be for a good cause. Raising money for the Children's Hospital. You'd play one piece, about 5 minutes long. There'd be other kids performing too." Ben, who was building a tower of blocks in the corner, jumped up excitedly. "Lily, you have to do it. You're so good." But Lily had gone quiet. Her head was tilted down, and David could see her shoulders getting tense. "I don't know, that sounds scary." David moved closer. "It is scary. Performing in front of people is scary even for professional musicians. I still get nervous before I play for an audience." "Really? Really? But you know what? That nervous feeling means you care. It means it matters to you. When you get up there and start playing, something magical happens. All those nerves turn into energy and you play even better than you thought you could." Lily bit her lip, thinking, what if I mess up? What if I forget the notes? Then you keep going. Everyone messes up sometimes. Professionals, the beginners, everyone. But the music doesn't stop just because you hit a wrong note. You just keep playing. Would you be there? I'd be right there with you. I wouldn't let you do this alone. "And me too," Ben added. "I'll be cheering super loud." A tiny smile appeared on Lily's face. "Can I think about it?" "Of course. Take all the time you need." "Well, until Friday. That's when I need to give them an answer." Lily nodded slowly. "I think I want to do it. But I'm really scared. Being scared is okay. Being scared means you're about to do something brave." That's when they heard the door open. Christine walked in earlier than usual, still in her work clothes. "Sorry to interrupt. Got out of court early and wanted to check on how the lesson was going." David and Lily exchanged a glance. There was no avoiding it now. "Actually, Mrs. Hartwell, there's something I need to discuss with you," David said. He explained about the phone call, about the recital, about how Lily had said she wanted to try. As he talked, he watched Christine's expression change. First surprise, then concern, then something harder. When he finished, she was silent for a long moment. "Absolutely not." The words hit like a hammer. Lily's face crumpled. "Mom," she started. "I said no, Lily. This is ridiculous. You performing in public? In front of hundreds of strangers? You have any idea how many things could go wrong?" David felt his temper rising. "Mrs. Hartwell, Lily is ready for this. She's been making incredible progress." Progress playing in a private music room is very different from performing on a stage. Christine's voice was sharp. "She can barely navigate her own house without help. You want to put her in a stressful public situation where she could humiliate herself?" "I wouldn't humiliate myself," Lily said quietly, but her voice was shaking. "Honey, I'm trying to protect you. You don't understand how cruel people can be. What if you make a mistake? What if you get confused up there? The entire audience would be watching you struggle." "I won't struggle. Mr. David has been teaching me really well." "Mr. David?" Christine turned to him, her attorney voice in full force. "You're a piano teacher who gives lessons in a small apartment. You've never prepared someone for a professional performance, have you?" The words stung because they were partially true. "No, but then you don't understand what you're asking of her, or the risk you're putting her in. With respect, Mrs. Hartwell, I think you're underestimating your daughter." David's voice was firm. "Lily has a gift, a real genuine gift. And gifts are meant to be shared, not hidden away. I'm not hiding her away. I'm being realistic. I'm being a responsible parent. Are you?" The words were out before David could stop them. "Are you being afraid?" Christine's eyes went cold. "Excuse me?" David knew he was probably about to get fired, but he couldn't stop. "Not now. I think you're scared. Not that Lily will fail, but that she'll succeed. Because if she succeeds at this, it means you've been wrong about her. Wrong about what she can do. Wrong about treating her like she's fragile and broken." The room went dead silent. Ben had stopped playing with his blocks. Lily sat frozen at the piano. Christine's face had gone pale, then red. "How dare you?" she said quietly. "How dare you presume to tell me about my own daughter?" "Someone needs to," David shot back. "Because Lily is amazing, and you're too busy protecting her from failure to let her try for success." "Get out, Mom," Lily's voice cracked. "Get out of my house, Mr. Torres. You're fired. I'll find Lily a new teacher. Someone who understands boundaries and respects my decisions as her parent." David felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. Ben had started crying quietly in the corner. "What?" Lily had her hands over her face. "Mom, please don't," Lily begged. "What? Please? I want to do the recital. I want to show people what I can do. I'm tired of being scared all the time. I'm tired of everyone thinking I can't do things because I'm blind." "Lily, no, Mom. You need to listen." Lily's voice got stronger. "I know you love me. I know you want to keep me safe. But being safe all the time isn't the same as living. Mr. David taught me that. He and Ben made me feel like I could do anything. Like being blind doesn't mean I'm less than other kids." Tears were streaming down Christine's face now. "You're not less than anyone. I never said that. You didn't have to say it. You showed it every day, by keeping me home, by not letting me try things, by treating me like I might break." Lily's voice was shaking but determined. "I'm not asking you to stop being my mom. I'm asking you to let me be brave. Just once. Please." The silence that followed felt like it lasted forever. Christine stood there, tears running down her cheeks, looking at her daughter like she was seeing her for the first time. Finally, she turned to David. "If she does this recital, you'll be there with her, the whole time." David nodded, not trusting his voice. "What? And you honestly believe she's ready?" "I know she's ready. She's more than ready." "What?" Christine closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. "What?" When she opened them, something had changed. "Okay? Okay?" Lily's voice was hopeful. "Okay. You can do the recital." Christine walked over and knelt in front of her daughter. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, baby. You're right. I've been afraid. Afraid of the world hurting you. Afraid of failing as your mother. But I've been hurting you by trying so hard to protect you." Lily reached out and Christine took her hands. "I love you, Mom. I love you too. So much. And I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to let you be brave." They hugged, both crying. Ben had stopped crying too and was smiling. David had to wipe his own eyes. Later, as David and Ben were leaving, Christine stopped him at the door. "Mr. Torres, I apologize for what I said. About your apartment, about your qualifications. That was unfair and uncalled for." "It's okay. No, it's not. You've done more for Lily and 2M. The 4 weeks leading up to the recital passed in a blur of intense practice and nervous energy. David and Lily worked together 3 times a week now instead of 2. Every session was focused on perfecting the piece David had chosen. It was a beautiful classical composition with a haunting melody. But halfway through, David had arranged it so Lily could add her own improvisation. A chance to show not just technical skill, but the emotional depth that made her special. Remember David told her during practice? "This isn't about playing every note perfectly. It's about telling a story." "Your story?" Lily nodded, her fingers finding their way across the keys with growing confidence. She'd memorized every note, every pause, every subtle shift in tempo. But more than that, she'd made the piece her own. When she played it, you could hear loneliness transforming into hope, darkness giving way to light. Ben came to every practice session, offering encouragement and becoming Lily's biggest cheerleader. He'd started telling all his friends at school about his friend who was going to perform at the City Arts Center. His teacher had even asked if the class could attend, and David had gotten them tickets in the student section. Christine's transformation over those 4 weeks was almost as remarkable as Lily's progress. She started coming home earlier from work. She'd sit quietly during practices, just listening. Once David caught her crying silently as Lily played. And when she noticed him watching, she'd simply said, "I can't believe I almost took this away from her." She'd also started talking to Lily differently, asking about her day, her feelings, her dreams, actually listening to the answers. Maria told David. It was like watching ice melt. Slowly, but definitely melting. 3 days before the recital, Lily had a bad practice session. Her hands were shaken. She missed notes she'd played perfectly 100 times before, and she finally stopped halfway through and said, "I can't do this. I'm going to mess up in front of everyone." David had seen this coming. The pressure was building, and Lily was 9 years old. Of course she was scared. "You know what?" he said. "Let's not practice the piece anymore today. Let's just talk." They sat on the floor of the music room, Ben joining them. David told them stories about times he'd messed up performing, the time he forgot his sheet music and had to play an entire jazz set from memory, the time he played the wrong song at a wedding and the bride looked ready to kill him, the time he fell off the piano bench during a recital when he was 12. Lily giggled at that last one. "You really fell off? Face first." Everyone saw. "I wanted to die of embarrassment, but you know what I did?" "What?" "I got back up, sat down, and finished the song. And afterward, people came up to me and said they admired how I handled it. They remembered the recovery more than the fall." "But what if I freeze?" Lily's voice was small. "What if I get up there and my mind goes blank and I can't remember anything?" Ben spoke up. "Then me and Dad will be right there. We'll help you." "You're not alone, Lily." "He's right," David added. "I'll be standing right beside the stage. If you need me, I'm there. If you need to stop and start over, that's okay. If you need to take a breath and collect yourself, do it. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being brave." Lily took a shaky breath. "Okay, I trust you." Those words hit David harder than he expected. This little girl trusted him, believed in him. He couldn't let her down. The night before the recital, David barely slept. He kept running through everything in his mind, thinking about all the ways things could go wrong. What if the piano at the Arts Center felt different than the one Lily was used to? What if the stage lights bothered her even though she couldn't see them? What if someone in the audience made a noise that distracted her? Around 2 in the morning, he got a text from Christine. "Are you awake?" "Yeah, can't sleep." "Me neither. I keep thinking about tomorrow. Is she really ready for this?" David thought carefully before responding. "Honestly, I don't know if anyone's ever really ready for their first big performance, but she's as prepared as she can be, and she's braver than you think." "I know. I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to see a lot of things I missed before. You're a good mom, Christine. You made a mistake, but you fixed it. That's what matters. Thank you for not giving up on her. Or on me." The next evening, David picked up Christine and Lily in his old Honda. Lily was wearing a beautiful, dark blue dress that Christine had bought special for the occasion. She looked so grown up, so different from the scared, silent child he'd met 3 months ago. "You look beautiful, Lily," David said as she got in the car with her mother's help. "Thank you." "I can't stop shaking." "Is that normal?" "Completely normal." "I'm shaking too, really." "Really. But you know what? Once you start playing, it all goes away. The fear turns into something else. Something good." Ben was already at the Arts Center with David's mother-in-law, saving seats in the front row. When they arrived, the parking lot was packed. David's stomach did a flip. This was real. This was happening. Inside the lobby was crowded with families, performers, and volunteers. The Arts Center was beautiful, with high ceilings and elegant decorations. David guided Lily through the crowd, one hand on her elbow. Christine on her other side. Patricia Chen, the director, spotted them immediately. "Lily, I'm so glad you're here. You're performing third, right after the violin duet. Is there anything you need? Can I feel the piano before the show starts?" Lily asked quietly. "Of course. Come with me." Patricia led them backstage and onto the stage itself. The auditorium was filling up quickly, voices echoing off the walls. The piano sat center stage under a spotlight. It was a beautiful grand piano, black and gleaming. Lily sat at the bench and placed her hands on the keys. She played a few notes, getting a feel for the touch, the sound. David watched her face relax slightly. "It's a good piano," she said. "Going to be amazing on it," Patricia said warmly. "The audience is going to love you." They went backstage, where other young performers were warming up and looking nervous. Parents were giving last-minute pep talks. One little boy was crying because he forgot his sheet music. David felt grateful that Lily had everything memorized. Christine knelt in front of her daughter. "Lily, sweetheart, I want you to know something. No matter what happens out there, I'm proud of you. Not because of how well you play, but because you were brave enough to try." Lily hugged her mother tightly. "I love you, Mom. Love you too. So much." David left them to find Ben in the audience. His son was bouncing in his seat with excitement, surrounded by his entire class and teacher. When he saw David, he waved frantically. "Is Lily ready?" Ben asked. "Are you ready to cheer really loud?" "The loudest ever?" David found his seat next to Christine just as the lights dimmed. The director walked onto the stage to welcome everyone and explain the purpose of the evening. Raising money for sick children, celebrating young talent, building community. The first performer was a 12-year-old cellist who played beautifully. The second act was the violin duet, two sisters who played with synchronized precision. The audience applauded warmly for both. Then Patricia's voice came over the speakers. "Our next performer is 9-year-old Lily Hartwell. Lily has been playing piano for just 3 months, but as you're about to hear, she has an extraordinary gift. Please welcome her to the stage." David's heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. He watched as a volunteer guide walked Lily onto the stage, her hand on his arm. Lily looked so small up there under the lights, so vulnerable. The guide helped her to the piano bench, made sure she was comfortable, then stepped back. For a long moment, Lily just sat there, hands hovering over the keys. The audience was silent, waiting. David held his breath. Was she freezing? Was she panicking? Should he go up there? Then Lily's hands lowered to the keys, and she began to play. The first notes were soft, tentative, like a whisper. The melody was gentle and sad, telling a story of loneliness, of being lost in darkness. David recognized the piece, but Lily was playing it differently than in practice. More emotionally, more raw. As the piece built, her playing grew stronger, more confident. Her fingers flew across the keys with increasing speed and precision. The sadness in the music began to shift, transforming into something else. Hope, determination, light breaking through. Darkness. Then came the improvisation section, where Lily could add her own interpretation. And this is where she truly shined. Her fingers danced across the piano, creating melody that hadn't existed before. It was beautiful and heartbreaking and triumphant all at once. You could hear her story in every note. The lonely little girl finding her voice, finding her strength. David looked over at Christine. Tears were streaming down her face. Her hands were clasped in front of her mouth, and she was shaking. But she wasn't looking away. She was watching her daughter with complete attention, perhaps truly seeing her for the first time. Around the auditorium, people were transfixed. Some were crying. Others were leaning forward in their seats, not wanting to miss a single note. In the student section, Ben and his classmates sat in awed silence. The music swelled to its climax, Lily's whole body moving with the emotion of the piece. Then, gradually, it began to soften. The melody returned to something gentle and peaceful. A resolution. A happy ending. When Lily played the final note, she held it, letting it ring out into the silence.